Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into one of the most important fundamental commands in all of Python, the print function. This, right here, is your very first step to making your programs actually talk back to you. So, let's kick things off with a question. You write all this code, you build all this logic, but how does the program actually communicate with you? How does it show you the result, or, just say hello? Well, the answer is a simple idea called printing. In the world of coding, printing is just the term for how a program shows information on the screen. Think of it as the program's voice. It's the most direct way for your code to communicate. Okay, let's get right to it and write our very first piece of code that actually does something. This is that classic hello world moment that pretty much every single programmer goes through. It's a rite of passage. And there it is. Seriously, that's it. Just one word, print, with your message tucked inside some parentheses and quotes. With this single line, you've officially made a computer do your bidding. Welcome to programming. Let's break down what's happening here, because it's really simple. First, you've got the command itself, print. That tells Python what you want to do. Second, you have the container, those parentheses. They hold the thing you want to show. And finally, you have the message, which is the actual text you see, wrapped up in quotation marks. Now, that message has a special name. We call it a string. And a string is really just any sequence of text, letters, numbers, whatever, as long as it's wrapped in quotation marks. You can use single quotes or double quotes. Python doesn't care. Their only job is to tell Python, hey, all this stuff in here, it's just text. Don't try to treat it like a command. Okay, let's do another one just to make sure it sticks. We'll tell Python to print the string welcome to Python programming. Now remember, those quotes are just the wrapper. They're instructions for the computer, not part of the message itself. So when we run this, what do we actually see? We see this. Exactly what was inside the quotes gets displayed on the screen. This is a super important point. The quotes tell Python where the string starts and stops, but they don't get printed themselves. All right, printing plain text is cool, but things get really powerful when we start using variables. This is all about giving your data a name so you can use it over and over again and even change it. So what in the world is a variable? Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a labeled box or container. It's just a name you make up to store value. And this is so crucial because it lets your program handle data that can change, like a player's score or a person's username. Here's exactly how that works. First, we create a variable we decide to call greeting. Then we use the equal sign to put the string hello there inside of it. Then on the next line, we just tell Python to print whatever is inside that greeting box. And boom, there's our output. Python looks at the word greeting, realizes it's a variable, looks inside the box, finds the string we stored, and prints that. And notice, this is the key. We did not put quotes around greeting in the print command. That's how we tell Python, go look up the value instead of just printing the literal word greeting. Okay, now let's level up. We can take this idea of variables and start building much more interesting and complex messages by mixing our plain text with our dynamic data. So look, you could build a sentence using a bunch of separate print lines, like you see on the left. I mean, it works, but it's kind of clunky, right? A much cleaner, much more efficient way is to combine everything into one single, powerful print command. So here's how you do it. First, we set up our variables, name and age. Then, inside our print function, we just list everything we want to show, and we separate each piece with a comma. So we have a string, then our name variable, another string, our age variable, and one last string. That comma is the magic ingredient here. It tells Python to automatically stick a space between each of these items for us. And look at that. The result is one single, perfectly put together sentence. Python does all the work of assembling the pieces and adding the spaces. This trick of combining strings and variables with a comma is something you're going to use all the time. And just like that, you now understand the basics of one of the most essential functions in all of Python. You've got the power to make your programs talk. It's your turn to take control. So let's do a super quick recap. First, printing is your go-to for showing stuff on the screen. Second, any text, what we call a string, has to be inside quotation marks. Third, variables are just containers for your data. And finally, you can use a comma to print a bunch of different things all in one clean line. And that's it. You now have a core tool for making any program you write interactive. So the only real question left is, what are you going to print first?